that goes on in the rainforest. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. And the timing, every day, night 2:15 means one group will stop and the other group will start. Really, their sense of time, every day, exactly by the second, one group will start, another group will start. And you don't know what they're talking about. They're definitely talking something that you don't know, for sure. They're not just making dumb noises.
So that orange triangle with a circle around it is the Agna chakra, which is the chakra of enlightenment and knowledge and knowing and perception. All the yantras are always built with triangles. They're a complex formation of triangles because that is the way the energy system of your body is built. That's the way, in many ways, the fundamental aspects of the existence has happened.
There is a certain dimension of perception which is referred to as Ritambara Prajna. Ritambara Prajna, Prajna means perception. Ritambara Prajna means you are able to see the relationship between the sound and form. As we've gone through this many times probably for many of you, if you feed any sound into a sound measuring instrument like an oscilloscope, every sound gives out a form or a pattern. Today it's a well-known thing that for every sound there is a distinct pattern. They're very fantastic experiments which have happened, but the more simple one is, if you just take a metal sheet and let's say keep a speaker under it and play a certain kind of sound, you will see if you put some light granules on it like sand or whatever, it all arranges itself in a particular way. Or if you have a proper tonometer where you can control the hertz, distinct patterns, otherwise you don't have to do it. I think if you look up on the internet, I'm sure there are experiments like this where you can see where for every kind of sound, a distinct pattern comes out. So for every sound, there is a form attached to it. Similarly, for every form, there is a sound attached to it. Now, how to know this? That's a question. How to know which form deserves the right attracts a certain kind of sound or represents a certain kind of sound. This dimension of perception is referred to as Ritambara Prajna. Without any background, talking about this may make it little… it may make it a little ridiculous because without the necessary background of understanding, suddenly I speak about something else, it doesn't make sense. Let's put it this way. If you have… if you listen to music, not the music with words, let's say you simply listen to voice or instrumentals, have you noticed different sounds create different kinds of impact upon you? A certain sound brings an emotion of love in you, a certain sound makes you peaceful, certain sounds want you to jive. Different things do different kind of impacts on the system. This… even if you are not a conscious listener, it can still happen. Somewhere somebody is playing a rhythmic music, either a folk kind of thing or let's say rock music is going on. You're not really listening, you're sitting and reading a newspaper or doing something else. The body wants to move, this is the first indication it wants to dance. in Indian classical music, they've explored this sound thing to such an extent, they can create any mood they want. Uh, to have some experience of this, if you… music is simpler, easier, no risk, exploration. You must listen to music which doesn't have words. That doesn't mean you listen to the elevator music, not that kind. Somewhere people are exploring various levels of sound, various ways of expressing things, but still not much words. There may be a few words. The Indian classical music goes with this, or the Western classical to some extent, but Western classical largely is instrumental, isn't it? There are no voices, not much voice at least. If you listen to voice-based music which doesn't have much words, your ability to have a grasp over this to some extent can happen. A better way of doing it would be, there are specific mantras, but this has to be technically correct. Music also has to be technically correct, but that's not your problem, that's the musician's problem. You just listen. To be technically correct in classical music, it will take years and years of application. But mantra will come so much more easily because it's just technical. You're not looking at the aesthetics of the sound. Because you cut out the aesthetics and just looking at the technicalities, you're just looking at the mathematic of the sound, it is easier in that sense, if you want to do it. But even that will take a certain level of attention. Otherwise, the best way is if you just learn to sit still, really still, everything still within you. If you know how to simply sit here, not trying to do anything, not trying to listen, not trying to meditate, not trying to chant, not trying to think of God or devil or whatever, simply. If you can simply sit, Ritambara Prajna will come. Another way of becoming perceptive to sounds and the nature of sounds is, if you can find a place where there are no sounds of machines and your cell phone will not tink-tink, quietly if you can listen to the sound of the trees, the breeze, the water, just the natural sounds, if you pay enough attention, tremendous things will happen to you. If you… I don't know if there is… very little of that is probably left, because even the forests are cultured. Many times I've been in the South Indian, they're kind of tropical rainforests. The longest I've been there, it was about 23 days. I walked through the jungle for about 23 days alone. No any kind of support, no cell phone for sure those days, and not even a torchlight. And fourth day I ran out of the food that I was carrying, so I lived off the forest. By about eighth day, I lost my jacket and one half of my shirt because I was chased by some animals and by that whole thing. I had half a shirt and pants and I walked through. This is elephant country, tiger country. I saw tigers, panthers, elephants, all kinds of… the wild buffalo, various kinds of animals, very close quarters. But at the end of it, when you look back, what is the biggest impact on you? It's the insects. No, they're not like the ticks in America, they don't bite us. It's in the nights, the orchestra that goes on in the rainforest. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. And the timing, every day, night 2:15 means one group will stop and the other group will start. Really, their sense of time, every day, exactly, by the second, one group will start, another group will start. And you don't know what they're talking about. They're definitely talking something that you don't know, for sure. They're not just making dumb noises. So if you just sit there and listen and listen and listen and listen, slowly you start noticing there is a pattern and an organization to this, which is far bigger than any human symphonies that you can achieve, far more complex and far more intense. So if you listen, simply learn to listen, listen to everything. That means you shouldn't be talking, you know. Simply listen. You will have some sense of how sound and forms are related. But if you want to make a study out of it, then it will take a different kind of involvement. But just having a ear for everything. Do not consider what is important, what is not important. Whatever comes, you must listen. It's very important.
Every human being like to have their own food and their own water, of course. If you hate somebody sitting next to you, you would like to have your own air. When you find everybody around you is not as fired up as you are towards your growth and ultimate possibility, then you want to have your own fire. You don't want to sit in common fires. A sadhu will never sit around fire with householders. He doesn't want to sit with them. He doesn't want to communicate on that level with people who are involved in the ways of the body. So he'll want his own fire. He wants to communicate only with forces which are beyond him. Communicate does not mean speaking. He may be speaking to other people, but he doesn't want his energies to get mixed up with everybody. He does not want the subtler aspect of his being, subtler aspect of his presence and his existence to get mixed up with various others. Because when you sit around a fire, in some way you merge with each other. You don't want to… If you're working towards a certain quality, a sadhu who has attained a certain mastery over his life does not want to sit with anybody. He wants to have his own fire and sit with that because he wishes to communicate only with the divine, not with anybody else. So a personal dhuni. And these dhunis were done in so many ways. The basic dhuni comes in what's called as Panchagni. There is Panchagni sadhanas, Panchagni mantras, Panchagni kriyas. We can make you experiment with a small Panchagni in your home and see how you can transform your home. Let's say you want to create a meditation space in your home. Or let's say you have old people or children in the house, or somebody is sick, then just for regular general conduciveness also, you can do this. You use all the 5 elements to do this. You create… I'm not a great artist, but I'll try. So, you just draw 4 triangles, 2 upward-facing triangles, 2 downward-facing triangles. Let's say you spaced it out like 10 by 10, 10 feet by 10 feet, or 6 feet by 6 feet, or whatever the space you want to create, and a central 2 triangles intersecting so that it forms like an anahata star. You can draw this with flour, rice flour, or you can draw this with grains, let's say pulses, or just rice. You can just make an outline or you can fill it. The important thing is something that's earthy. You can even use fine red earth to do this. So, totally there are 6 triangles here. These 6 triangles represent the 6 chakras, because the 7th one is not something that you manipulate like this. It's the 6 chakras and the 5 elements and the 5 different fires. So you create a plate, preferably a copper plate or any metal plate, let's say, filled with water, and in that you keep a lamp, a ghee lamp or a vegetable oil lamp, preferably sesame oil. Sesame generates heat. In winters, in entire southern India, people are eating lot of till or sesame seeds to generate heat in the body. It generates enormous amount of heat. So sesame oil or ghee or any other vegetable oil and 5 lamps with water body around it. You just burn this for 6 to 8 hours in the day. This area will gather a certain level of our aura and the Akashic element will become dominant. If there are sick people, growing children, old people, it will do wonders for them. Or if you want to meditate, you want to create a meditative space, it will work beautifully. You can just create this kind of space for yourself every day if you just have this burning for 6 to 8 hours, and then you can remove that and sit there. Or you can make it a permanent thing, you can put this on some kind of a sheet so that you can move it and put it back when you want to sit, or you can sit with it. There is no issue, you can just leave it as it is and sit with it. It could bring a lot of benefit because this is a way of managing the Panchagni system. If one wants to learn mantras and kriyas associated with that, it is possible, but that will involve a different level of involvement and attention. But this is something that everybody can do. So you can create Panchagni like this in your own home and benefit from that. Why is Sadhguru getting so ritualistic? He told us none of the rituals are not necessary, everything can be done within 100%. If you know how to turn inward and maintain this Sarvagni within you, which touches everything in the universe, none of those things are needed. Where you sit is the most conducive place. Your very presence will work 1,000,000 times better than all these arrangements. But if you don't have that, nothing wrong in using external support. If you're in such a condition that your way of being is not influenced by anything around you, then you don't need any ritual, nothing is needed. What's within will take care of everything.
Triangle is the basic form in the existence in many ways. The most integrated form is a triangle. Before all this material came, like concrete and steel and all this stuff, even now, I think in United States particularly, any home has a triangular roof, isn't it? In India, we've all gone for flat roofs. because they use the concrete roofs and the weather permits a flat roof. So here still almost every house around has a triangular roof. Why a triangle is, with minimum material, maximum strength comes only from a triangle. If you have to create any other form of the same strength, you would need much more material. Material strength has to be increased. But in the form of a triangle, with very minimal material, you can get maximum strength. So always, anywhere in the world, if you give them 2 pieces of wood using earth as a base, you got a dwelling. So this is not just about the dwellings that you build. Even the divine hand, even the hand of the Creator chose a triangle to build a basic form within you and outside of you. If you look at any molecular structure, it is a complex assembly of triangles in many ways.
Similarly, if you look at the human body in a different level, you will see there is something called as an energy body. The energy moves and operates in the body in a certain way. In yoga, there's a whole understanding and there is a certain way of experiencing how the energy functions in your system. If you look into this with awareness, if you see the way your system is constructed, you will see the most basic form in your body is a triangle.
All the nadis meet in the form of triangles. What we refer to as chakras are actually triangles. The nadis always meet in the form of triangles. We call them chakras because they symbolize movement. So that orange triangle with a circle around it is the Ajna chakra, which is the chakra of enlightenment and knowledge and knowing and perception. Because yoga is the science of perception. Yoga is the science of ultimate perception. So, Isha Yoga uses the symbol of ultimate perception, orange triangle with a circle.
And if you have seen what are called as yantras, in South India there's lots of yantras, have you seen? The Sri Chakras and that kind of thing. Yantra means it's again an energy form. If you create certain forms, they have certain amount of energy, they can retain certain amount of energy. All the yantras are always built with triangles, they're a complex formation of triangles because that is the way the energy system of your body is built, that's the way, in many ways, the fundamental aspects of the existence has happened. That's why the triangle.